This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for April 14th, 2024. This is season 13 of the Power Play Post Show, episode number 38, and episode number 423 of the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am your host, Bob Howard. As always, glad to have you here. And the regular season for the FPHL is over. And I want to say this. I think it was a success for the Federal Prospects Hockey League. There might be some stuff, turmoil behind the scenes, with players complaining and issues in certain cities, even a couple of the newer cities in the FPHL. But overall, I think this was a success. When you look at the attendance up and down, when you look at the standings up and down, more teams won games this year than in previous years. More fans came through the turnstiles this year than any other year. You had two teams over 100,000, well, actually over 110,000 fans. And that is obviously very good for the FPHL. There might be some turmoil coming up in the next couple months that hasn't come up yet about teams. We may lose a team or two. We may not gain as everybody expected just a month ago. However, I still think overall, this has been a successful year for the FPHL. We may not have liked some of the things that happened, like the suspensions, the change of the rules, all that stuff. Yes, those things are bad, but this league is 14 years into its existence, and they still haven't figured out everything yet. Maybe it's taking them a little bit longer than it should, but eventually, I think as this league maybe changes leadership here and there, as time goes on, it will get better. But the Black Bears had a great season. You cannot argue with the season that they had. From the fan engagement with the players, with the 7 sellouts. There was a sellout last night in the Veterans Memorial Arena, 4893. Almost every seat was packed, and it was great. I say that because sometimes you see a couple seats here and there that don't have anybody in it, and it's just like, where are those people? Are they upstairs in the arena club drinking? I don't know if that thing's still open, but I would imagine somebody's up there serving drinks. Are they walking the concourse? There's so much to do at the arena and everything, not just watch a hockey game. But it was a great season, I think, for everybody involved. I want to congratulate Andreas Johansson, Brant Sherwood, Brooks Hill, Trevor in the front office, all of the people in the front office, from Alex Jones and what Cole Parenti did even as an intern, which he's not an intern anymore. I don't know if he's paid, if he's a paid employee now. I don't know. Cole, we didn't discuss that part of it last night when we were talking before the game and everything. But Cole's a great kid, got his first couple stints with the Elmira River Sharks after John Clement left. Congratulations to him. Everybody, I think, with Binghamton has to be very proud, from ticket sales to just the on-ice product to even just the in-house environment and everything. They gave away an ATV last night, which was pretty cool due to the Puckachuck contest. It was just a very good season for the Binghamton Black Bears. They won 3 more games than their previous franchise record. They had 39 wins, 110,000 fans. It was a success all over the place, and everybody a part of this team needs to realize and be proud of themselves. It was a great season. So let's get to the podcast. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast. And please subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show. There are a lot of great reasons for being a part of our Facebook group. I write articles, put them up there, news and information that is 100% confirmed. And we speculate a little bit, but we try not to do that too much and everything. We try to provide just the facts whenever we can. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, yes, we have a guest for this podcast. Binghamton Black Bears forward Cam Clark is with us, or CC. He goes by Cameron. You can pretty much call him anything in those realms, and he's okay with it. Great kid. Finishing out his school year with Morrisville. His hockey time with them has been done for about a month now. He's obviously played 10 games with the Binghamton Black Bears, but he's still going back to school. So it's an interesting story to hear how he juggles this, because from Sunday to Thursday, he's at Morrisville. Friday to Sunday morning, he's in a hotel room. And he's, taking care of school during the week, and then he's playing hockey for the Black Bears on the weekend. It's not that he's not full-time, but he's finishing up his commitment with Morrisville and getting that degree. And that, my friends, is more important than anything else. So congratulations to Cam on just doing that. That's an accomplishment. You should be proud of yourself, and everybody should commend you for doing that. But the Black Bears finish out the season with 2 wins over the weekend and a 6-game winning streak to finish the season. Now, were we all just a little bit nervous when the team lost 4 in a row? Yeah, I think probably a few of us were, including myself, but it's my job to kind of question those things just a little bit and go, hey, wait a second, what's going on with the Black Bears? They lost 4 in a row. They haven't lost 3 in a row all season long, and there they were with a 4-game losing streak after a couple of weekends. So I think everybody was a little concerned. But when you look at what they've done since then, and let me just pull up the Binghamton Black Bears results page here at binghamtonhockey.net. See, there's a little plug right there. If we look at just the April totals, right, because they lost 4 games at the end of March, but at the beginning of April here, they've got 6 games. They won all 6 of those games. They were 6-0, okay, and 27 goals for and 13 goals against. Pretty good weekend. Listen, I look at it this way. In this type of league where a lot of people can score a lot, I say if a goaltender only gives up 3 goals in a game, that's not bad. You can live with that. Well, in the month of April, they won a game 7-3, 2-1, 7-1. Then they won a game 3-2, right? And then they won 4-3 and 4-3. Right? 2 of the games went into overtime and a shootout, right? So they beat Watertown in a shootout, in overtime, and then they beat Danbury in a shootout, right? So they basically beat teams in blowouts, close games, overtime games, even went to a shootout and won a game, right? Obviously, the shootout isn't part of the playoffs, but when you're winning in that combination of all different ways, that's important. Teams got physical. Black Bears got physical back, but they didn't go over the edge. I talk to Coach Sherwood all the time about his team going up to the edge, but not going over, right? Going over gets you suspended. Going over gets you injured, things of that nature. He wants his team to play to that edge, maybe just a little bit past the edge, but not too far past the edge, right? And they were able to do that very well. Now, they also played a lot of the younger collegiate players, junior players, and some of the regulars did not play much. Now, obviously, in Danbury on the 12th, just the Friday night game, there was almost a lot of the regulars, the top 6 point getters weren't in there. Austin Thompson, Tyson Kirkby, Connor Smith. These guys didn't even make the trip. Gavin Yates didn't make the trip. Gavin Yates didn't play last night in Binghamton as well. So very interesting there. But they beat the Danbury Hat Tricks in Danbury 4-3, right? And so let's take a look at that. And in the first period, Johnny Ruiz gets on the score sheet, a shorthanded goal with one of the Binghamton players in the box. And then 1955 with 5 seconds left to go. And these are the goals that kill coaches. They just hate this, right? When you give up a goal with a minute left to go in a period or the game, it just drives them nuts and everything. It drives me nuts too when I see it. But Johnny Reeves gets 2 goals in the first period, and man, I'll tell you what, you can hate Danbury all you want, but Johnny Reeves plays the game right. He plays the game hard, and he scores goals, and he is a leader on his team no matter what. So 2 goals. And then in the second period, Binghamton comes back, right? Because that's what they do. This is what they do. They don't even have their full lineup. Danbury is playing for a position in the Empire Division. They could have gotten to the point where if they won this game and things worked out with Motor City, they could have been in second place and had home ice. Didn't come to fruition because Binghamton came back. Scott Ramarakers, he gets a power play goal. JT Walters, he gets a power play goal in the second period. And all of a sudden, it's tied 2-2. And there is new life in the Binghamton Black Bears. They come back. This is what to do. They were down 0-2. They come back, right? That was the theme this weekend, right? The no-quit mantra that I talked about in the after-game report. This is what they do. And they've done this. This isn't just this weekend. They've done this all season. When they've gone down, they've been able to battle back. They've battled back from 4 goals down and 3 goals down and came back to win games, or at least get into overtime or a shootout and get the point, right? Which is pretty good. In the second period, to finish out the scoring, Danbury takes the lead back after a power play goal by Jacob Ratcliffe. And then in the third period, the only goal that happened was a Kyle Stefan shorthanded goal at the 14:47 mark of the third period. So Binghamton goes to man down, and you think, well, this is it. It's 14:47. By the time he gets out of the box, it's going to be almost the 17 mark. There's going to be just over 3 minutes left in the game. But Kyle Stefan scores a shorthanded goal. And so there you go. We go into overtime. I think Danbury had like 4 shots on goal. Binghamton had 3, realistically. And then they go to the shootout. And when they go to the shootout against Nolan Egbert, right, Nolan has, I think, 2 shootout wins, or does Connor have the other shootout win? But either way, shootout for Nolan Egbert. He stones Corey Cunningham. He stones Bodan Zinchenko, and he stones Josh LaBelle. All 3 of them tried to deke Nolan Egbert. Smart, just sitting there, waiting, looking for the deke, gets it. Kyle Stefan, he gets stoned by Connor McCollum, who played a good game, Andrew Logar, and then Blake Tosto goes up, kind of skates over to the left side, and just takes a shot. It was just a good wrister that got past Connor McCollum, and that was it. Game was over. Black Bears win a comeback with 6 of their biggest guys not in the game. The Collegiate, the young players came together. Blake Tosto, you just got to love what they did. And then, of course, JT Walters, he gets the one goal in the game as well. All of the goals in this game were on special teams. Shorthanded, 1 for Danbury, 1 for the Black Bears, and then, of course, 4 power play goals to go along with it. Pretty crazy game, pretty fun to watch. Nolan Egbert gets the shootout win. He saved 41 of 44 shots on goal, so a nice little save percentage of .932. He played very well in the game. And then they win the final game at home against the Elmira River Sharks 4-3. This was a sellout crowd. This was the 7th sellout crowd for the Binghamton Black Bears. And their average, and we'll talk a little bit about this in just a few seconds. I want to get through the game first. Their average is over 3,900. I love it. I love it. A lot of fans, and the fans last night were very good. But in this game last night, the Black Bears started off the scoring with an Austin Thompson goal, even strength, so that felt weird, right? It's like, wait a second here, we're not on the power play? This isn't shorthanded? What's going on? And everything. At the 16:23 mark of the first period, Austin Thompson, who has scored so many first goals in a game, gets another one, 16-23 in. Black Bears go into the first intermission with a 1-0 lead. Now, in the second period, it belonged to Danbury, or it belonged to Elmira completely. Dustin Giselle, nemesis when he was with Danbury, and then even when he was in Binghamton here, didn't get along. The locker room just didn't really care for him, and I don't think he really enjoyed the locker room here in Binghamton. He scores at the 4:32 mark. And then after that was the Stephen Klink show, right? Stephen Klink, who also assisted on the Dustin Giselle, he gets 2 goals. He gets one at the 18-18 mark, or the 8-18 mark, and then at the 18-17 mark of the second period, he scores. Now this game is a 3-1 game, Elmira. That's what they needed, right? Coming into this, all they had to do was win, and no matter what Watertown did, they would be in the playoffs, and they would be the first-round opponent for the Binghamton Black Bears, right? But as people started to go and look at the score sheets, now I don't know if in the second intermission, after this period was over with, did the Black Bears and Coach Sherwood, did they go and check the score and go, guys, Watertown is kind of killing Blue Ridge here. They're going to get the points. They could go ahead. We could knock out Elmira. They could be a notch on the staff or whatever. Say, listen, we knocked these guys out by winning in our home territory in front of a sellout crowd, right? Not sure how the conversation went. I'm not sure what the thinking was. I didn't ask afterwards. But when the Black Bears came back out, they had a little bit of fire in them. Now, at the end of the second period, there was a hit. The hit was Jake Schultz, former Binghamton Black Bear, who might be a little bitter against the Black Bears because they suspended him, and then they dropped him in April when nobody could pick him up and he could play in the playoffs. Well, Elmira picked him up because they were hoping he'd help them get into the playoffs. He's got experience. He's a big boy that can literally hit anything, fight anyone, good defensively, so why not? Right? They pick him up. They know he's not going to be able to play in the playoffs, but that's okay. Maybe he could be behind the bench or whatever. There's a thought process there. I mean, Tyler Jurich knows him, played with him last year, knows the kind of player that he is and the kind of person that he is. Well, either way, so there's maybe a little bit of bitterness. He comes out and he lays out Justin Samaro. Justin Samaro was just moving up the ice with the puck, and he gets laid out. And he turns around and he basically looks at the Binghamton Black Bears and says, holds up his hands, kind of waves somebody to him and says, come on, let's go. He was waiting for it. He wanted the fight. He wanted that last night, and that's what he was looking for at the end of the second period. And he got it with Josh Fletcher. The two of them met. I don't even think there was a punch thrown. There might have been. I don't know. But then they fell back on Josh Fletcher's back, and that was it, right? And he got a 10-minute misconduct for inciting, and he got the 5-minute major. So he was out for 15 minutes of that game. That does not help you, Elmira, at all. So we can talk about Kyle Powell in just a little bit, but really what it comes down to is that a guy that you brought in just to make the playoffs cost you making the playoffs. Think about that for a second. 15 minutes he was out. And I don't blame Tyler Jurich on that. I really don't. I mean, you can't control what a player does on the ice sometimes. It's just the way it is, right? But in the third period, Black Bears came out. They had a lot more pep in their step, and they were hammering Sammy Bernard, who played a great game. I cannot take away anything from what Sammy Bernard has done this season. Without a doubt, him, Connor McCollum, there is some really good, Spencer Kozlowski. All four of those guys, along with the guys that played in Binghamton, all three of the guys that played in Binghamton, we've just seen some better goaltending play this year. We really, really have. And maybe it's a little bit better defense in front of them. That always helps, right? But it's just better. But the Black Bears came out, Kyle Stefan, who's really starting to come along really nicely. I've heard Gary Ryan talk a little bit about Kyle Stefan and how he's played as of late, and I kind of agree. He has really become a nice little player. He took 4 years off from college to playing, and he's really starting to get his legs back, which is kind of nice and everything. But he scores to make it a 3-2 game. And then Connor Smith scores the game-tying goal at the 5:07 mark, right? So we're tied now with almost 15 minutes left to go in the period, right? And there's some back and forth. And then Kyle Powell gets a tripping penalty and goes to the box. And at the 19:07 mark, Connor Smith gets a power play goal to put the game up 4-3 for the Binghamton Black Bears. 53 seconds left to go. Elmira tried everything. They pulled their goaltender. They had an extra player. There was a penalty on the River Sharks. They still pulled their goaltender. They did whatever they could to try to tie this back up. Because remember, they go into the overtime period and they're in the playoffs. It's that simple. They would have probably celebrated at overtime, in between the regular period and the overtime period. They probably would have celebrated over on their bench because they knew that no matter what Watertown did, all they needed to do was get 1 point and they would have been in the playoffs. And the Binghamton Black Bears and Connor Smith, who tied the game at 5:07 in the third and then scored the game winner at the 19:07 mark with 53 seconds left, took out everything out of Elmira. Binghamton celebrated. Obviously, getting this win meant they only had 3 losses out of 28 games home in Binghamton. A regulation loss and then 2 OT losses. That is it. Otherwise, they won 25 games here in Binghamton this year. Probably, other than Columbus, probably one of the best records in the FPHL. I'm sure Columbus, with their record, they probably have an outstanding home record as well, just like Binghamton does. Carolina will probably be up there, probably third behind Binghamton and Columbus with a home record. But Binghamton is very hard to play at home, right? So we talked about the Jake Schultz thing. Kyle Powell, I feel for you. I cannot wait to have you on the Power Play Post Show to talk a little bit more about everything. And then Connor McAnama, I got to talk about him a little bit, right? He was, I thought he was good. I think the Elmira River Sharks really tried to put a lot of heat on him, and I think he did very well as well. So let's talk a little bit about, the next thing, how they finished the season, right? The Binghamton Black Bears finished the season 39-10-7 for 120 points, a 714 points percentage, 267 goals, 170 goals against. That's a differential of 106. I know that's the best that they've done in the 3 years. They had 1,502 penalty minutes. I think the penalty minutes are a little bit too high. There's too many other 10-minute misconducts and game misconducts. Some of the shenanigans that happen in the middle of the season, if that goes away, that number could be drastically down. I'd like to see it more where Motor City and Danbury was, which was that just over the 1,100 mark. That would be so much better. They finished first, obviously. They had a franchise record in points, franchise record in wins. Franchise low in losses, and I think this was more OT losses than normal for them. But listen, they went to OT 11 times, and they got 4 wins, and still those 7 points matter. It means something, right? Those 7 points, if they were regulation losses, would mean that Carolina would be ahead of them, right? And so this is obviously, or could have been ahead of them. So this is obviously very good. The Black Bears finish up first. They will be facing the Watertown Wolves. So the Wolves are the 4th place team in the Empire Division. They'll face them in the quarterfinals of the Commissioner Cup playoffs, which starts on Friday in Watertown, a 7:30 start up there. And then Game 2 will be in Binghamton at 7 p.m. And I know if needed, Game 3 will be in Binghamton on Sunday at 6 o'clock. Okay, a rematch of last year's first round where Binghamton won 2-0. In the season, the Black Bears are 10-3 against the Watertown Wolves, 7-0 at home, but 3-3 up in Watertown. Okay, so that first game on Friday, I think Schurzy just needs to make sure that they come out with a win there, come home and finish it out on Saturday and do another 2-game sweep of the Watertown Wolves in the first round of the Commissioner Cup playoffs. That would be great. All right. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is going to be Cam Clark of the Binghamton Black Bears. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers.
Hi, this is Brandon Bochinsky.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Really glad to have this gentleman on. He's one of the new guys here with the Binghamton Black Bears. He is one of their forwards. He is Cam Clark, or Cameron Clark. Cam, what do you like to go by? You like to go by Cam, right?
Cam, Clark, anything, whatever's comfortable for you.
I can call you CC as well. So,
yeah, anything.
Yeah, Cam, first of all, welcome to the show. Great to have you on and everything. And what I really love, and I really want to kind of like touch on this base first and everything, is that you have a very unique situation, because a lot of guys, when they finish up their schooling, or they're playing for a college team, usually they come out, and when they turn pro, they can come in and everything. You're still actually actively working on classes and spend your weeks, your day weeks, your weekdays, actually at Morrisville. Can you talk a little bit about that situation, and how did that conversation go with Coach Sherwood? It sounds like to me he was pretty cool with it.
Yeah, no, obviously when I ended my college season, Brant gave me a call, explaining the whole spiel there in Binghamton, the fans, the experience there for hockey, and coming from Morrisville with didn't have the year we wanted, and it's a smaller town, but he really reeled me in with what was there at first, and I made sure 100% that he knew. I was very crystal clear with him about, hey, I'm still in school. It's like first my priority. I would like to graduate. I got to make my classes. And he was really cool with that, which I was really appreciative by that. And he said, you know what, come on in for a weekend, try it out. If you like it, stay. We can work with your schedule. And if you don't, I'd just love to have you for the experience, And so I came for the first weekend, or first game against Elmira, I think. And we ended up dropping that one. But it was also a away game, so it was a little different feel. So the next series, I came in, played against Mississippi, and I loved it. Loved the place there, the building, just the atmosphere. It was great. And then, so going back to my schedule, obviously.
Yeah.
I have to come to school from about Monday to Thursday most days. Have a couple classes a day, do my homework, but I bring my stuff home actually to skate here at the rink, so I'm not falling behind on the ice and getting my work in here.
So I was going to ask you about that. So you are actually skating, daily, probably at Morrisville, right? They're allowing you to do that?
Yeah. So we keep our ice in usually after the season ends, which most colleges don't.
Nice.
And I have access to it whenever I really want, which is a great thing because it helps me stay on the ice even when I'm not with the team.
Right. And so let me ask you this: are there any other guys that can skate with you to give you that little bit of feeling of having somebody else on the ice, like you would in like a game time situation?
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually because I think 5 of my other teammates are on other teams in the FPHL, which is Watertown. Trevor Grasby, Jacob Black, they both play there, which they also do the same schedule as me.
Right.
And Trevor Newman and Mateo de Blasio, they play for Elmira. So we all hop out a couple times a week with each other and just do some work.
No, that's great. That's great. So obviously your schedule. No, so we'll talk about you and a couple of your teammates there with Morrisville playing against each other, maybe this upcoming weekend and everything. But talk to me a little bit about your schedule. You said you have a couple classes a day, so you do the classes. You probably get on the ice maybe two or three times a week and everything. How is that for you? It's a funny thing. hockey players, especially young hockey players, they rely so much on family, right? And their family gets them to games, helps them with travel hockey, probably like you down in Florida and everything. Then you move up here, stay with your uncle, and you still probably have to rely a little bit on family to do that. Now you're in college, and it's like everything changes and whatnot. And now you've turned pro, so to speak, while finishing out your college semester. It's got to be kind of taxing on you a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be very well at time management, to be honest, and I think college has helped a lot with that. I would say I do what I can during the week, whether it's working out, rehab, classes, homework. I try to balance it out pretty well in order to go into the weekend with not having so much to focus on so I can focus on the game. But, I do those couple classes a week, do what I can, head to the rink on Thursday for some practice, get on the ice with the boys to get the legs moving.
Yeah.
And either stay the night there, depending on the schedule, or head back here. So it's only about an hour and a half commute, so not the worst. But usually I'm pretty on top of everything, I'd say. I got to be, constantly reminding myself of, what homework to do, what class to do, and even with hockey, what do I need to do for this game and that game. But I would say as of right now, it's a lot to juggle, but I think I'm doing well with it.
Yeah, obviously you've scored 4 goals for the Binghamton Black Bears, have an assist right now. You've played in 10 games, so obviously Coach Sherwood has seen the value of having you on the ice and everything when you're back. When you come back on Fridays, do you get a pregame skate in with the guys, or are you not back in time on Friday for that? Yeah,
so whether it's me staying there on Thursday night or coming back here Thursday night to school, I usually try and hop on the ice Friday morning just because, especially if I do have to drive in the morning to Binghamton, it's good to get on the ice and not have stiff legs going into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, it's only an hour and a half long drive, so that's not horrible, so your legs don't get too tightened up and everything, which is pretty interesting. So let's go back a little bit further. You obviously, place of birth is Daytona Beach, Florida. Everybody knows NASCAR is from Daytona Beach. I mean, that's the birthplace and the love and everything. But talk about youth hockey in Daytona Beach, Florida. Does it really exist down there?
I would say as I was growing up, not really.
Really?
But, the ice factor. Actually, funny story here. I didn't start playing ice hockey until I was around 10 or 11.
Wow, that's and for the fans out there that don't know, that's actually about 4 or 5 years later than most kids and everything. So you are a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah, so I grew up on the rollerblades, actually. That's where I did a lot of things. My dad had me in the parking lot, with the green biscuit on the concrete, just blading out there, getting work in and everything like that. But I actually learned how to roller skate at a small rink, daycare / thing in Daytona Beach. And we never had the intention of me playing hockey, obviously, being in Florida. My dad wanted me to play football and all those other sports that are popular down there. And once I went there, the owner was like, hey, you got to come check out your son. He's actually decent at skating. And he's like, no way. Because my dad's originally from Buffalo, so he's familiar with hockey a little bit. And he was like, wow, okay, and stuck me in the youth league there, like a house league kind of to start off with. And then after that, it just kind of bounced around, joining travel teams with roller hockey, which was my main sport. And then we decided to go the ice route, and my dad actually helped start the youth program in Daytona Beach to get it going, and we ended up winning a state title there.
Okay, so your dad's okay. So this is very interesting. So because somebody saw that you were a good skater on rollerblades, and a lot of times that will convert over. Now, I'll be honest with you. Last time I was on any sort of wheels, I was absolutely horrible. You throw me on, a 1/4-inch steel or whatever. For some reason, I can skate, but I can't rollerblade. But I know it does go the other way when you learn that way. But your father started something because somebody else said, hey, he's a good skater. And so your dad took that interest and then created something that's really going to help future hockey players down in Daytona Beach, Florida. That's pretty epic.
Yeah, no, I'd say my dad was a huge part of the Daytona youth program to start it off and get it going. We had kids not only from Daytona, we would have kids from Miami, Savannah, Georgia, Tampa, and we would all come practice once a week and then go play games on the weekend. And it was quite the experience just to see where everybody came from just to play hockey in Daytona Beach. And, it was pretty special to have your dad as the coach and start that.
Now, I would imagine that he's still down there. Is he still part of that youth scene down there?
Actually, when I moved up here and started, I really enjoyed it here, just more of the hockey-wise. Everybody was pretty closer. Everybody loved it up here more. They were more into it, especially being in Buffalo. So he actually ended up moving back up here because he has relatives here, and he's from Alden, which is near Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he's here now.
That's very cool. Has he come to Binghamton yet to see you play hockey?
It's actually funny you asked that. He was there last night for the comeback from 3-1.
Oh man, it was a good game. The Black Bears seem to have this knack of being able to come back, so that's great and everything. So you move up to the Buffalo area. I believe your father was still down in Florida, but you moved up here and lived with your uncle to start playing hockey up here. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and everything? Because I found it very interesting, because at first it didn't seem like it was working, and then you went to high school and started playing high school hockey, and that seemed to click more for you.
Yeah, so I'd say coming here, being the new guy, is not the easiest, obviously, especially going to Buffalo where a lot of guys are tighter. Yeah. Obviously, now I love the city, love the people, because it's like I'm from there now. But, I was basically on a plane, got sent up here, and was told I was playing hockey here because, you can't really stay in Florida and get recruited much down there without sending lots of video and all that. And he found it just to be easier to send me with my uncle up here. And he had no problem taking me in while I was doing the online school, which I think a little combination of that, not knowing everyone, not going to school with them, was a big factor in which I left. I started to like the guys before I left. It was none of their faults. It was solely just on the fact that I wanted to be in the classroom and be a little closer to guys. So I ended up moving with my aunt, who lives about 20 minutes from Batavia, actually. She took me in, open arms and everything, so that I was able to go to the small high school of Notre Dame of Batavia. And it was a great experience just being able to go to a school with kids who play hockey on your team as well, that you go to classes with, hang out with, and just, you're like a family. And I never really had that experience in Florida because everybody was so far away from me.
Yeah, you played high school hockey, but at the same time, you played with the Rock City Royals in the NA3. Talk a little bit about being able to play in both organizations, the high school hockey and the NA3, really in the same calendar year, 2 years in a row. Yeah,
so I ended up not playing AAA, U18, or any of that. I met a great coach of mine. He's always been a mentor of mine. He's like my second dad to me, honestly, Mark Staley. He's currently the coach with Batavia Notre Dame, or Batavia United now, because we merged with the public school.
Yeah.
And he was actually the coach of Rock City Royals as well. So when I came there and he saw me playing on the high school team, he's like, hey, I don't think you need to play AAA anymore. I think you can start playing juniors now. And honestly, I was so comfortable with him, and he was so welcoming of me. I went out there, skated with the team, and it just fit. And I was 15, 16 years old playing. I think I was 16 at the time. I think I was 16 playing junior hockey while playing high school hockey, and it was quite the experience. You're skating in the morning at 6 a.m. for your high school team, and next thing you know, you're at 4 p.m. skating with the junior team later that day.
How different was the hockey between both, playing high school hockey and then playing junior hockey? How different was it? Is it the speed of the game? Is it a little bit more physical? What are the differences?
I'd say, obviously high school wasn't to the caliber of what I was playing with in junior, because there's guys who are 20 years old where I'm only playing against guys who are 17, 18 and my age.
Sure.
But I would say it really did help me a lot with just playing high school hockey as well. Just being able to go there, play with older guys, them mentoring me, teaching me, taking me under their wing, helping me out. And I would say, actually, for one day, I had to play a junior game at 11 a.m. once on a Sunday and go play a high school game at 3 p.m. later that day. And I was actually doing it with a teammate of mine, Brian Mazicki, which it was a crazy experience because, you got to experience it both in one day, where I think the junior level, obviously more physical, more little stuff. You could fight, all that lovely stuff. And then you go to high school where you can't really do that. But I would say the speed was obviously more faster, and I was by far the youngest kid on the team, while putting up a decent amount of points, which it wasn't just because of me, it was because of my line mates as well. They were great guys. But definitely faster, definitely more physical, and it definitely helped me when I was in my high school games because it just felt a little bit slower, so I could slow the game down while I was going faster pace.
So that's very interesting to me. And then you kind of transitioned into the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League and the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League for a couple seasons, actually 3 seasons. And you played with Hearst, and you had such a great run there. Can you talk a little bit about playing junior A hockey? Because, again, probably another step up for you, competition-wise, skill-wise, the speed of the game changes a little bit as well.
Yeah, obviously, when I went to the GOJHL and the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, we struggled a lot. I think that was my second or third year of juniors, basically, where I was moving into the Junior B League, where you got all these OHL draft picks. It's a very good league for being Junior B. They can compete with Junior A teams, and I think that was a great stepping stone for me. And once again, I was still one of the younger guys, being 17, 18, and I think I led the team in points that year, which got actually some looks from some CCHL teams and CDC teams, which
nice,
which I think was a great place for me to play at the time, just to get some looks going forward. Yeah, so I ended up in Hearst because I was in Rochester Monarchs, and they had a USPHL and CDC team at the time. Ended up not making it all the way through, but it reached me out to a coach named Mark Lafleur of Hearst, and just a great one of the best coaches I've had. Considering Jersey so far, and my other coach from high school, some good experiences with them. Obviously, you got some bad ones too, but they were great. Going to Hearst, a town of 5,000 people, you got 1,200 people at the game. You're selling out. It's a great environment. It's almost like you're playing in Binghamton. It's almost like I'm playing back in Hearst,
right?
And it's just great to feel that atmosphere. And that team was a very resilient team. I would definitely say it was a step up from the DOJHL because it was Junior A. But I came in there, 6 games in, and felt pretty at home there. But I would say in that locker room, it was a very resilient team. And we had a unique run, to be honest. Our first round of the playoffs, we went down 3-1 right off the hop. And, our coach gave us a big spiel, showed us a clip of, I believe it was the Rangers versus the Kings when they went down 3-1 and came back.
Yes.
And I think that really just fired up the guys, and we ended up coming back, winning that one, sweeping the next series. And actually, we had a 3-1 lead in the finals, which we gave up, and they went to 3-3, and then we beat them there and went to the Dudley Hewitt Cup, and ended up making the finals at Dudley Hewitt Cup and losing to the Oakville Blades, I think 1 or 2-0, which was a great team. They had a bunch of Division I commitments, about 12 of them.
Wow!
Which it was just great to experience, though. Playing a different team from a different league, you get to see a lot.
Absolutely, and when teams are down 3-1, the Calder Cup Championship banner that you see at the arena in Binghamton in the first round against the Manchester Monarchs, Binghamton was down 3-1, and they came back and won all 3 games that they did win to win the series 4-3. They had to do it in overtime. They went to overtime in all 3 of those comeback wins. So totally understand, get it. You did not need to bring up the the Kings and Rangers reference, being that I'm a Rangers fan. So that put a dagger in my heart. But I get it.
Sorry about that.
No, I get it. I understand. You know what? When you're a hockey fan, as long as you're going to be as old as you get and everything, your favorite teams are eventually going to do it. You're either going to experience it on the ice yourself, or you're just going to be watching a series and go, "That's my team. We were up 3-1. We couldn't get one more win." It kills you. That's the beautiful thing about hockey. It's very similar to baseball when it comes to playoffs, right? You can go 7 games, and you're in that 7th game. You're down at the final minute in a hockey game or the last inning in a baseball game, Game 7, probably the best you'll ever have in sports. It really, truly is and everything. And you experience that, and that's pretty cool because that's a hockey experience or a hockey life experience that will help you in the future. Whether it be in business management, because you said you're majoring in business management, or just in your pro career, it's going to help you because you've been there, you've experienced that, and maybe that's what helped the Binghamton Black Bears, on Saturday night against the Elmira River Sharks, is that down 3-1. Okay, well, Watertown's kicking the crap out of Baton Rouge or whoever they were playing at the time. Oh, Wytheville. And you guys come out in the third period, and it's just like it's a totally different game, totally different team, and you come back. And it's because of the Hearst experience that you can check back with and everything. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say going into last night's game, there was honestly, after the second period coming in, Jersey talking to us, I don't think there was really ever a doubt in my mind that we were going to lose that game. Once we got that first shift going, got the pucks in deep, banging bodies and everything like that, just putting shots on net, I think the boys had a lot of energy going through them and through that period, which we knew we were going to come back. We just had that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could tell it just felt different on the ice. Let's talk a little bit about going to college. Obviously, your first year of college, of course, it's the COVID year, right? So you lose out on being able to play. You probably just sat there in a dorm room concentrating literally on your studies and everything. How disappointing was that first year thinking, all right, I'm going to play 4 years here at Morrisville, and you end up only getting to play 3 years on the ice, even though you're going to walk out with your degree sometime within the next month and everything. You're going to have accomplished that, whether it be in criminal justice with your minor and business management. It's one of those things, but that first year must have been disappointing not to be able to play.
Yeah, my first year coming here, we had 13 freshmen coming in, and we were, a new group. We were hungry, we were ready to play, and a lot of us actually only came in with the hopes of having a season.
Yeah.
So we said, you know what? We're age outs. We're not going to wait another year. We might as well go with the hope of playing. And they still gave us hope with the 8-game in-conference SUNYAC play. And so we all said, you know what? Let's just do it. We showed up here, practiced, worked out, did our thing. And just like that, after a couple months, we were told that there was no season. We did our best to reach out to the board and try and get a season. Obviously, it didn't work out. Some of the guys stayed here. Some of them went home. I was one of the guys that went home because I only live about 2 hours away, and I was like, I just should just go home. I could skate at home, and they skated here too. But I could also do other things while I was at home besides just sit in my room, like you're saying, and just do homework. I could, work on the side, do this, hang out with friends from home. But yeah, no, it was definitely a crushing experience, and I would say it's even more for the seniors. Honestly, we were sitting all in a room and watching them have to cry because they don't get their last year, and it was pretty sad to see right away off the bat. But you know what? Some of those guys went on. Chris Vella, great guy, great kid. He ended up going to the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs with I think C.J. Stubbs and Nick DeVito, who also played here. They ended up winning a championship, which is great for them. And I know that Jesse Anderson popped up there for a bit this year.
Yep.
But no, I think going back to the college thing, it was quite crushing to hear that news, but we also knew we had 3 years to play at least.
Yeah. Yeah, so talk about how important for you was not just playing college hockey, but going to college and getting your degree. I'm telling you right now, Scherzy just loves guys who are educated, smart, going for the degrees. It's why he's working with you, so you can, go back to, Morrisville during the week and everything. He loves that kind of stuff. But how important is it to you personally to have your degree in just about a month?
I think it's going to be, honestly, a big accomplishment to me because, honestly, when I came from Florida, came to New York, when you're 16, you're trying to figure out what route you're going to take, whether you want to try and go play in major juniors or if you are going to try and play college. And at the time, I didn't really focus on my studies. I wasn't very good at school. But once I went to that high school in Notre Dame, I met a great lady, Miss Bodine. She was my English teacher, and she had a pretty long conversation with me, a heartfelt conversation with me about school. She's like, Cam, getting your degree not only from high school, but even if you go to college, it's going to be with you forever, and I think you should really do that. And she was just always in my corner, just backing me up with that. And even when I was struggling in school, she would always be there for me. So I think she's a big part of the reason why I'm actually so much more focused on school and having my degree in a month. And I think I think she put me in such a better headspace with, actually putting all your efforts into school. But I think it's going to be a great thing to get my degree and, still play hockey after that for a little bit.
Playing hockey in college, it's a physical game without being able to fight. There are just different rules than in pro hockey or even in junior hockey. Can you? Not that you were ever a fighter. I can tell just by the penalty minutes. It's not something that you obviously got into, but the physicality is a little bit different than maybe the physicality in junior hockey. Can you explain the difference?
So junior to college or college to pro?
More junior to college and everything. How would that kind of difference in the style of physical hockey?
Yeah, so I'd say, I played in a little bit more of a grittier style of junior leagues where it was more physical. So Getting to college, I think I was prepared for that.
Cool.
But I would say the biggest difference from going to juniors to college was the defensive structure and how much time and space you actually have. The guys are so much cleaner, crisper in the D zone where you do not have much space or time to get off a shot or pass or anything. They're right on you. So I think that was the biggest transition rather than the physicality.
Yeah. And have you played enough games in pro with the Black Bears yet to really kind of decipher the difference coming into the pro game?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more flow, I would say, in the pro game than the college. You got a lot of structure. You got to be here at this time, there at that time. They're pretty on you about that. But when you come to pro, it's more of, I think it fits my style a little bit better because I'm more of a read and react and, try and create something off of nothing. Mm-hmm. Whereas, obviously, I'm sure you see in the games, like I try anything, honestly. A spin move, a between the legs pass, between the legs shot. I just do it because you know what? You never know what's going to happen, and it can always create a good play.
Your first game here with the Binghamton Black Bears, hey, you scored a goal in your first game. I mean, can you write it better than that? Is that something that, you're like, yeah, because I think it was against Elmira, and I think you guys did lose the game, but it still had to be pretty awesome to score a goal in your first game.
Yeah, no, I think it was a really great experience to score a goal in my first game. Obviously, coming back from not even, like, I wasn't doing much because I took that time off after college ended. I took about 2 weeks off to just, recover, get back into it. And I think, I didn't play my best that game, but I think being able to still get a goal and get my confidence up in the air, I think that was a great thing.
Now, you have seen 2 games this year. You played 10 games, but you've seen 2 games against the Watertown Wolves. What are you thinking about going into this upcoming playoff series against Watertown? They are very physical. They're very gritty. They like to kind of goad other teams into doing things that they normally wouldn't do. What are your thoughts about going into this playoff matchup against the Watertown Wolves?
I think our thought is just to, sit back and listen to Scherzy. He's got an answer to everything. He lets us know when we can get in it and when we can't. And I think he keeps the bench at a calm calm level most of the game, where I think coming into this, too, he's going to probably tell us, unless somebody is as good as you, don't get into the crap with them, and I think that's a good thing coming from him. But we do expect, obviously, a very physical game and series.
What do you think you're going to provide to them? Now, you haven't scored in the last 4 games, but it doesn't mean that you're not, providing stuff on the ice for the team. If you make these games this upcoming weekend, and Jersey has you in and everything, what do you have to do to make sure that you're productive for the Black Bears against the Wolves?
I think the thing I've noticed a lot with this is that, if you're not creating points, you got to create it somewhere else. So
sure.
Those games that I didn't have points, even though I didn't have points, I felt I was, hounding the D, getting a body on them, rushing them, making them have less time and space, and just getting a puck to somebody who might have a goal in their stick, And I think that's what you got to do, is you got to change the style of your game during the game. If you know it's not working, you don't have your hands that day, throw the body.
Your thoughts about the finishing out the season with the Black Bears? Obviously, you'll probably get in for a few games, against these upcoming teams in the playoffs and everything. Is your thought process? Listen, I'm going to graduate from college. Obviously, this summer you're going to be able to take some time to kind of reflect on the first part of your first pro season. Playing 10+ games and everything. How are you planning on making a decision for next year? Is it, if Jersey will have me back, I'm coming back, or are you thinking other bigger things?
Honestly, I don't think I've put really much thought into that. Me and Jersey have had the conversation of, I like the way he can move guys up.
Sure.
Levels and stuff, but I honestly have enjoyed my time so much with the thing at the Black Bears. I couldn't thank the organization enough for taking me in. And I think that's more of a decision in the summer, me calling Jersey and seeing what's up, where we're at.
Yeah.
But I think right now the biggest focus is obviously like a series and, for this season to bring home a banner to Binghamton.
Yeah, what's interesting is last night you saw a sellout, 48-93, filled up the building. It was loud. How much did you guys hear the fans on the ice?
Oh, we heard them. The bench was rattling. The glass was rattling behind us. They were loud, especially after we got that second goal. It's like we knew we were going to come back.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then, of course, you have Connor Smith, who is this big, tall cowboy of a guy and everything, goes out there and scores the game-tying goal and the game-winning goal. I have to imagine that in the locker room afterwards, he probably had the biggest smile on his face of anybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was happy in the locker room. I can tell you that for sure.
Very cool. And what about your interactions with the fans afterwards on the post-game skate? I got to imagine, you're the new guy, so, again, you've already said it's awkward being the new guy and everything, but the Black Bears are always very welcoming, and even so are the fans. What was it like post-game skate, the autographs, the pictures? I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah, no, I would say it's a great experience, and honestly, I could relate it just going back to juniors like in Hearst.
Yeah,
with the fans just knowing you on a personal level, welcoming you in. They're all so welcoming, open arms. And I think the biggest thing for me is that they just know a lot of things about you, which is crazy to me. They already know you before you even tell them. And yeah. I think and I always make sure when we're doing autographs, I make sure to stay respectful. And whenever they're on the ice, when we did the post game skate, I make sure to thank them for coming out. So you know what? If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no, it's very true. All right, so Cam, normally on Sundays, I usually air a segment called 6 More Questions With. So I've got only 6 more questions with you left. Are you ready for these?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So number 1, to this point in your hockey playing career, what has been your greatest achievement? And it's okay to say Hearst. I totally get it. That was a big moment.
I've had a lot of tough calls, very tight things, winning sectionals with my high school team, championship in juniors, individually selected for an award at college, MVP, which selected awesome. by your teammates too. Yep. So, that like really gets your respect for them and respect for us. But I would say it's got to just be that Hearst, that Junior A championship. Not many people can say they won a Junior A championship, and especially, like I told you, going down the series 3-1 right off the hop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, number 2. And I don't know if you have time to do this anymore, especially with your schedule, but are you a Nintendo, Xbox, or a PlayStation player, and what is your go-to game?
I would say, honestly, right now, since my roommate has a PlayStation 4, we play the PlayStation 4, and we play NHL 21 as of right now because we don't have the new one.
Oh, that's very cool. Hey, listen, they're all very similar except for they add a few new features every year, right? So not a big deal there. Number 3, are you a rock, country, hip-hop, or EDM music lover, and who is your go-to artist?
Oof. Honestly, going to college, I turned into a big EDM fan.
Wow.
But
I keep hearing that.
On the flip side, though, when I came to New York, first time I listened to country, pretty funny coming from down south, actually.
Yeah.
I would say right now, I'm pretty big into country, especially summer coming around, and I have to go with Morgan Wallen.
All right. Very good. Very good. Number 4, who is the funniest guy in the locker room for the Black Bears?
Oof, that's a tough one. I'd have to say Weaves is a pretty fun guy. He's a clown, I'd say.
Wow. You know what? He's going to get the award this year. I swear, I've heard that maybe 5 times now. Dan Weaver is the funniest guy and everything. So, all right.
Yeah, he just always got something to say.
Yeah, I can imagine. He did really great in those little videos they did for Whalers Night and whatnot, which was pretty cool. How cool was it to wear those Whaler jerseys?
Oh, unreal experience. Those are some of the nicest and cleanest uniforms, I think, in the FPHL.
Oh, without a doubt. I agree. Number 5, what is your go-to cheat meal or snack that you say is not in your normal diet, especially during hockey season when you really got to keep in shape and everything?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say beef from Buffalo, a nice slice of pizza or some wings.
Yeah, you don't eat that on a regular basis. That's definitely something you kind of go out for as a cheat meal, all right?
Yeah, I'm more of I keep it pretty basic with the chicken pasta, chicken rice style.
Gotcha. All right, number 6, and this is the fun one. A zombie outbreak has happened, and you're locked in an ice hockey arena. Who is the one person, dead or alive, that you would want there with you?
Oof, that's another tough one. I'd have to say just my best friend back home, probably Ryan Webster. He'd probably be there with me. He's a great guy, funny guy.
Now, he's funny. Is he going to save you from the zombies, or are you guys going to work together as a team?
But we'd have a great time going down.
Perfect. Cam, thank you very much. Good luck finishing up school because I know you've got a few weeks left of that. And there's probably a few weeks left of the playoffs as well. And I know you got a tough schedule to kind of work out. But Coach Sherwood is always good about that, working out those schedules and everything. Good luck the rest of the way with the Black Bears and, of course, just with Morrisville as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I really hope we make a good run this year and bring back a banner.
Absolutely. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Thank you very much for listening to this week's episode or this Sunday's weekend wrap-up show. Obviously, we're going to have some great stuff coming up. I know that on Monday, 6:30, the Fox 40 Sports Roundup, myself and Ian Mills will be previewing the Binghamton Black Bears playoff run. I'm sure they'll put that also online so people can see that as well. We'll get that promoted out for you, but we'll be live in the studio, and you can obviously watch us live or watch the the stuff that's put onto the internet as well. So that's very cool. Coming up, this week as well, I'll be recording with Brooks Hill for our Thursday broadcast. He and I are just going to sit down. We're just going to talk about the Watertown Wolves and the 13 games, and we're going to preview and get that all set for you. So when you listen to the Power Play Post Show, you'll be able to hear that. I am really happy with what we're going to be doing soon, and we might even have another guest this upcoming week as well. It depends on how that works out. But the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for the Power Play Post Show. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and Binghamton Black Bears forward, Cam Clark. This upcoming week, again, like I said, from the Binghamton Black Bears, hey, he's a Broadcaster of the Year award winner, Brooks Hill. He'll be on the show, and we'll be previewing the Watertown Wolves series for the Binghamton Black Bears. Thank you for listening. Appreciate all the likes and the comments on the Facebook group as well. And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.